What is going on, everybody? You are back on another edition of Ballin Over Beers. I am Justin Dupengeiser, and this is the NFL show. We're coming off of an exciting NFL draft weekend, and I am here to discuss that all with the one and the only Mr. James Fitch. What's going on, brother?
What's up, buddy? Just coming down from the high that is the NFL draft, and then looking forward to the next major thing on the NFL calendar, which is, do you know what it is?
Schedule release?
You got it.
You know it, buddy.
Next
what,
week?
The 12th?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Nice. That's always exciting. Mark the calendars, find out where the games are, see how many games the Chiefs win, which is going to be all of them.
I saw a poll. It was from a couple of the Buffalo media guys, but it was like, what do you look forward to most, the draft or the schedule release? And like, I think more people responded schedule release than they thought would actually happen. How would you have answered that?
Draft for sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think the logic behind the schedule release is for the people that like go to a lot of games and plan like vacations and road games and stuff like that, which don't do that a lot. So
no, I actually I'm a Chiefs fan, so like we went to Chiefs game 2 years ago now when there was the pandemic or whatever, and that's fun. Like I don't mind going to like 1 or 2 games a year, but like for me, like I almost enjoy just being at my house so I can watch, one game on one TV, have another TV with another game, then another TV with Red Zone, and you get all of them.
Yeah, when you're degenerates like us and we've got like 10 bets, 3 fantasy leagues, 16 DraftKings lineups, Survivor leagues. Like it's tough being at a game and watching it live. I've always felt football's best on TV. I enjoy going to a game every season, usually something like that, but no more than that.
Yeah, you do it the one time to hang out with the boys and do the tailgating and drink and have fun and stuff. But other than that, it's way more fun in your own home and hanging out and doing all that. So
yeah, tailgate's the best part.
Oh, for sure. There's no question about that. Absolutely. What'd you think of the draft?
It was good. I think there were maybe a few surprises here and there. I think the San Francisco pick was, I can't believe how well they kept that secret, didn't leak. I was surprised by that. Overall, though, I don't know. It was fun.
Always a good time, right? Just before we keep going here, make sure wherever you're listening to this, everyone smash the like button, subscribe, do all that stuff. We appreciate everybody being here. It goes a long way for you to do that kind of stuff. So if you're, listening to the audio version, subscribing to the show or whatever. If you're listening to it on YouTube, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel and all that. But anyways, yeah, draft is always a good time, right? What'd you think of your Bills? I know there's some contention. There's a little bit of a split thought with the Bills picks.
I wanted defensive back. I get the reason for another D-line, edge rusher, whatever you want to call it. They've got some age at that position and they want to get younger. They're a team, and I know a lot of teams do this now, but they do kind of the rotation where, a couple guys in, a couple guys out, have fresh legs throughout the game. And my thought with that, though, is the last 3, maybe in 4 years, their first pick has gone towards the D line, and I don't know that we've seen the results that we should. I get some of these players take some time to develop, and I think this year they took another guy that may not necessarily come in right away and be like a full-time starter. So I am still concerned with the lack of depth at the cornerback position, and that's kind of what I had hoped they would go after. Didn't happen. I do like seeing them invest on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's where they could have improved last year in several games. So I like the commitment to shoring up that side of the ball, but I don't necessarily think it was in the right place.
Yeah, no, that's understood. Did you see the Brandon Bean quote that Sal Capaccio tweeted out just recently?
Something about people being mad about not taking a corner or something.
Yeah, he felt like he was getting a lot of stares in the Zoom meeting, like, why the hell didn't you take a defensive back or something like that?
I mean, it's a
So,
valid concern. There's still time to, I guess, sign some guys that are still out there that haven't been signed. Maybe a depth player. I don't know. Richard Sherman, I saw was a name that was still out there. Somebody like him. I mean, to me, that's just another Greg. What's his face? Or not Greg?
Josh Norman.
Josh Norman.
Yeah.
Um,
Casey Hayward just got signed by the Raiders, so
yeah,
they're
I saw that.
corner off the market.
Yeah,
I kind of thought Kansas City was going to go DB too, but I'm thinking that they might end up just re-signing Bashad Breeland, who was there with them last year, who hasn't signed with anybody. So
yeah. So it looks like they did. They're trying to do a really good job of shoring up that offensive line, right? I think that was that their first pick
oh yeah,
in the
well
second round.
they had pick 58, pick 63. So
Okay.
yeah, Veach. It's funny you talk all the time how GMs lie and stuff, and you can't believe anything they say. Well, way back when in January-ish, probably Veach in all offseason was saying offensive line and linebacker a priority, and he wasn't lying. He went out and completely revamped the entire offensive line, and his first pick was a linebacker. So he did pretty much what he said he was going to do, in that sense. Which
Yeah.
they positions a need. I was hoping they'd go wide receiver a little bit earlier than they did. They ended up drafting Cornell Powell out of Clemson later. He'll compete for the third wide receiver spot, I think, but um, I thought they'd invest just with Mahomes. They've been wanting to surround him with talent since he's gotten there. But I think that the talent they needed was in the offensive line, and they did that. Their offensive line went from not in a good spot to arguably one of the better ones in the entire NFL. So I'm good with that for sure. Got to keep him safe and clean. And from some reports from insider people that I hear, his toe turf was way worse than people were let to know. And the surgery that he had, it was one of the worst repairs or something like that. So that's the rumor, at least.
Yeah, I mean, in the playoffs last year, I remember Pro Football Doc saying that was going to be a
Mm-hmm.
big thing. I mean, even with his concussion concerns that they said he was going to have, there was that week where you weren't sure if he was going to play in the AFC Championship game. Pro Football Doc, I remember being on record saying, like, look, even if he comes back from this, like, that toe is going to be a problem. And
Yeah.
I don't think the offensive line really did him any justice with that, but
No.
you wouldn't have really known it. I would say in the game against Buffalo and even in the Super Bowl, it didn't really look like it had bothered him as much as it had in the Cleveland game.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me to hear that it was messed up.
Yeah. No. And that's the thing, though. A lot of these guys, they go through the season and it comes out later like they're playing through this and that and whatever injury it might be. It's crazy. Like Drew Brees, like he was playing through all the broken ribs, but then it comes out, he's like got shoulder and foot and ankle and heel and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, these guys they're crazy what they play through some of the times, and you just don't even know.
Yeah. You
Um,
pay me that much money, I'd play with broken ribs.
oh yeah, oh yeah. You give me one of those game day checks, I'd be okay with it.
For sure.
Give me a shot for sure. Let's start. Let's talk a little fantasy wise for these draft prospects. And we'll start. What do you think was your favorite landing spot for any position for any player?
Um,
And there were some good ones. Like there's,
yeah, I'm trying not to.
give an obvious one.
Yeah, I mean, Najee Harris is hard for me. I talked about him last week, and I told you he was going to be a top 2 or 3 dynasty pick, and maybe I was kind of tipping my cap, but I took him at 2 overall in our dynasty draft. I just think I've seen comparisons to him being a better Le'Veon Bell, a more complete Le'Veon Bell. I've seen Steven Jackson comparisons. I don't think the guy leaves the field. He's a 3-down back. Tomlin has been a guy that really likes having kind of that workhorse back. So I just think he's a guy that can catch passes. I don't think he's, unless he's hurt. And everyone talks about the offensive line issues, which is whatever. I think that may affect Big Ben more. I don't think they want Big Ben throwing the ball as much this year. So he may have those games where he runs the ball 20 times for 60 yards, but he'll catch passes, he'll score touchdowns, and he's going to put up numbers in fantasy. So I love that.
I think the one thing with Harris that you get with, like you were mentioning, that you get that you don't get with any other running backs that were drafted was that workhorse load. Like he is going, like you said, like even you think about like the James Conner when James Conner was healthy, like he was getting all of the touches. He was playing, 85% of the snaps.
Yeah,
So
when he filled in for Bell, when Bell sat out that one year, he had a phenomenal season, and
right.
he was healthy that year. So
Even when you think when like Connor was hurt this past year, they started out by giving like the backup like being him just coming in and being the main guy. So it's like almost anytime you have a Pittsburgh Steeler running back, it's just like that's what Tomlin wants to do. He wants that guy to be the guy, and he wants him to be the guy rushing and receiving. And so it's tough to argue that with the workload, right? The opportunities and the touches are what you look for in fantasy. That's what it is, and I think that's what you're going to get. I agree with the
yeah,
Harris thing.
what did you like, or what was your one of your favorites?
There's a couple. If we talk running back, instead of Harris, I'll say the guy that I actually drafted in the um, our dynasty league, and that was Michael Carter. So
Didn't they draft a cornerback with the same name?
yeah, right after him.
Yeah,
Isn't that bizarre? And
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that they played each other, and that corner tackled him 2 plays in a row, and it's like the first time in history it's ever happened.
that's awesome.
Yeah, bizarre.
He's on the Jets, right? I think that's a great landing spot.
Well,
I looked at him, and he was a name that I was looking at 2.6. You took him at 2.4.
yeah. So at that pick, I was looking between him and Trey Sermon, right? So Sermon landed up with San Francisco, and with 49ers, just the run game that they have, like it's obviously scary because you never know who it's going to be. But the reason I went with Michael Carter was because of the reason of the landing spot with the Jets, where he does not have a ton of competition, right? And he's going to be the guy that's
Tevin Coleman,
practice.
probably the biggest threat to.
Yeah, so they have Michael P. Ryan, Ty Johnson, and Tevin Coleman, right? And those guys, none of them really scare you, right? Like those guys aren't like guys that are going to go in there and
Coleman is one of those guys that I just thought should have been so much better than he has been. And when he
right.
went to San Francisco, I thought that would be a great opportunity for him. Granted, they had a really crowded backfield, but
Yeah,
I'm just kind of surprised at the career that he hasn't it hasn't been terrible. But I don't know. I thought he'd be a guy that performed better.
yeah, no, I definitely know what you're saying there. And then the other thing I thought about with like the Michael Carter pick going to Jackson, or excuse me, going to the Jets, was they have what's his face, the mummy now, Robert Sala is the
Hmm.
head coach coming over from San Francisco, bringing over a San
Yeah,
Francisco guy that ran the offense. And like you think about the 49ers offense last year, they had, Jeff Wilson 600 yards, Mostert 520, McKinnon 320. Like so,
was a
they had
rookie
guys that were
quarterback too, so
right.
they're going to want to manage.
Exactly. And the other thing I like that they did is they drafted a lineman in the first round right after that, and Elijah Vera Tucker, right? So now they invested in offensive line with Becton last year, and now they have Vera Tucker. So like they're gonna make a conscious effort, I think, to run the football. And I think Carter's got, of all those guys, probably the best ability to catch passes too. So I think that was a nice little landing spot for him as well. Is there any receiver that you really liked? Like it was pretty funny how you got a couple guys rejoining up with former college teammates in Jamar Chase to Cincy and Waddle to with Tua, and those are both pretty decent spots.
I love picks 4 through 6 in the NFL draft. So Kyle Pitts to Atlanta,
Yep.
Jamar Chase to the Bengals, and Jalen Waddle to Miami. I think those are all great fits. Pitts is just going to be a stud. I mean, I always worry about rookie tight ends, but I just think with Matt Ryan, to Ridley and Julio, two great receivers, I think that's going to be a pretty good offense.
Yep.
Jamar Chase, getting back with his college quarterback, Burrow, I think that's going to be a great fit. I think that offense could be pretty good with, Chase, Boyd, and Higgins, and then you got Mixon hopefully coming back healthy at running back. That's going to be another fun offense to watch. And then Jalen Waddle, I think his output's going to be dependent on Tua and the kind of season that he has, but I think that's a great pick for them too. So I love those three receiving targets.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think they're all three of them are in good spots. Let me ask you about Devontae Smith, right? So he went a little bit later, we landed with Philadelphia. He's somebody that's super interesting to me because he is kind of like in the Michael Carter boat where he doesn't really have a ton of competition, right? It's Travis Fulgham, Jalen Rager, Quez Watkins, John Hightower. Like none of these guys are like that number one guy. Whereas in like Cincinnati, you do already have like the Tyler Boyds and the T Higgins. In Miami, you have Devontae Parker, where there's already established guys. So like Devontae Smith could go in there and could be the number one target where he is getting the ball just pumped to him all the time. But then you have the concerns of Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah, I think Hertz is going to be fine. I think he's, I don't know, maybe a peg below like a Kyler Murray. I don't worry about that so much as like, does he have the build to be a wide receiver one? He's known to be a smaller guy. Maybe he'll put some weight on, but like, I guess does Philly have a true wide receiver one? I know that's kind of the intent of taking him, but is he that guy that you can lean on for that? I don't think Jalen Rager's that guy. So that'll be interesting to see for me if he can be that guy, if he can step in and kind of take that workload and be that productive.
Yeah, that is kind of been the question mark all the time with him is the weight and whether he'll be able to do that. And I don't know. I think he will. I think he's so skilled in the way he is able to run routes and his explosion and stuff like that that he'll figure it out. Um, but we will see. Let me ask you about like a Kadarius Tony who landed in the same division. Who
What was that pick?
I'll tell you, there's two picks that I just did not like the landing spots. In well, there's more than two, but two of them that really stuck out was Kadarius Tony with the Giants, and then Bateman, Rashad Bateman with Baltimore. Like those are two. Like I think Bateman's a good player. Like I was never huge on Tony, but I thought in the right landing spot he could be a guy that could produce. But like Bateman with Baltimore is just like the worst spot.
Because of their lack of passing.
Yes, there's just no volume there. There's no volume there, and they just brought Sammy Watkins in, and that's just I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a very good fit.
No, I'm kind of surprised to see them go wide receiver again with their first pick. Maybe it's kind of that Bills logic from many years ago where the Bills brought in Sammy Watkins to try to help EJ Manuel with the passing game, and maybe
Yeah,
Baltimore feels that Bateman will help Lamar with the passing game. It's too bad they lost their wide receivers coach. I don't know how they're gonna really bounce back from that, but that's a strange pick to me. There were I don't know if you heard the rumors, but Jacksonville wanted Kadarius Tony at 25. So somebody was taking him in that range, which is strange to me, and I think that's why we saw Jacksonville really kind of settle for ETN. They were looking for just kind of a third down back or just kind of an athletic player that can play running back and wide receiver and do all of the above. But I just think that's early for a guy like Tony.
yeah. If you're talking
I,
about, go
I
ahead.
don't think the Giants need a wide receiver.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's weird, and I don't know, not that kind of wide receiver, right? Like I don't know. That the pick was definitely a reach. I thought they did a nice job trading back and like getting extra picks, but then you pick Tony at 20. It just seems like they like panicked and didn't know where to go. Like I saw some people tweeting out that they thought they wanted Devontae Smith, and then Smith got taken
That's
right
exactly
before
what
him,
happened.
got sniped, and then they're like, "Oh crap, what do we do now?" And then they
They
had
took their ball and they went home.
yeah. So
Yeah,
you talk
that's
about like running backs that landed in a bad spot. You just mentioned ETN. I didn't like that for, and then Herb comes out and says he's going to be a third down back, and like Carlos Hyde and James Robinson are going to be the first down and second down backs. It's like, could there be just the worst thing to hear for fantasy people? Like,
yeah.
I'm a James Robinson dynasty holder, and I'm just like, oh my god, that is just soul crushing.
Did Hyde play for Herb, or was
Yeah,
the timing off on that? I can't
no, I
remember
think he
when
did
he.
at Ohio State.
So there's a connection there. My first thought was that was just coach speak and that he's being nice to the guys that are on the team currently. But I think with these situations, you do see like, J. Rob's going to get his opportunities. Hyde's going to get his opportunities. You're going to see ETN. not get the workload at the beginning of the season. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Come the end of the season, he's going to be incorporated more. I think he's a guy that, in your redraft leagues, you're not going to be taken very high, but he's a potential flex player, and he's kind of a late round guy that you pick up. And at least right now, it'll be interesting to see what his redraft ADP is later on this summer. But not too excited about him right now in that landing spot.
No, no, I'm not. And I'll tell you that in general, I don't think that the running backs were anything to kind of write home about in this draft. There was a couple guys that we had mentioned stuff. The only one that we really didn't mention up top was the Javante Williams to Denver, who traded up to get him. And I think that was a pretty good spot, right, for him. Denver's going to want to run the ball, but like Denver to me, I thought had a terrible draft, and I think they picked some decent players, but like them passing on Justin Fields to me was the wrong move. I just don't think that made sense. And then they release Philip Lindsay, where just keep him. Like he's proven
Yeah.
he's good in the NFL, and then you don't have to draft a running back with Williams. So they made some questionable moves to me, I think, in the draft.
Yeah, I think they kind of tipped their cap to Kansas City a little bit. Just, I think it's Fangio, right? That's the coach.
Yeah.
He's a defensive guy, and I think that's just kind of the mindset is like you can never have too many cornerbacks. Um, we play in a division with some really good quarterbacks, some good wide receivers, and we need to
Yeah.
kind of stay on top of that. So I think they're really committing to a ground and pound style of game, which is interesting to me because you're not going to beat Kansas City 17-10. Like that's just stupid to think that you can do that. And I don't think you're going to be able to beat the Chargers that way.
Nope.
I
Chargers
think
are coming too. Chargers are going to be
yeah,
good. And
the Broncos could win their fair share of games. I think the quarterback's the key there between, Bridgewater and Locke and whatever happens. But
right.
yeah, it's interesting to see them go cornerback and then take a running back. What do you think happens with Melvin Gordon? I mean, is this a 50-50 split? Do you think Gordon's getting phased out?
I think he ends up getting phased out. He'll still get his touches and stuff, but I've said for years Gordon's not very good. He is like his career rushing average per yard or per carry is terrible. It's like barely 4 yards. Like that is not good.
Remember his rookie season not scoring a touchdown?
Yeah, like, and apparently there's a reason for that. It's probably because he's not very good at football. So I think he eventually gets phased out. He'll still, like I said, he's a decent pass catcher, so I think that helps him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he eventually gets phased out for sure. Do you like? Do you have any like later round guys maybe that might be sleepers, whether for any position, running back, receiver, anybody like that? So I got a couple. I'll mention to you and see what you think about them. They're both actually in the same division. And the first one is Amon-Ra St. Brown with Detroit. And then the other one is Amari Rodgers with Green Bay. So both of these guys, and again, it has a lot to do with their landing spots. So, right, everybody that's talked about Green Bay, and I guess this all depends on whether Aaron Rodgers is there, and we'll get there in a second. But, right, he doesn't have a ton of competition at the wide receiver spot. He's, there's
The Lazard King, man. Come on.
It's true. It's true. But his last name is Aaron Rodgers, so he might be okay.
No.
St. Brown, like in Detroit, it's Bashad Perriman, Terrell Williams, Khalif Raymond, and Quintez Cephas. Like, and St. Brown is a good football player. Like, I was kind of surprised he slipped a little bit as far as he did. So I think both of those guys could end up getting opportunities where they could be some later round sleepers.
Yeah, I think Amari Rodgers is a name that I would have gone with there. To your point, I mean, I think Green Bay has a decent set, and it's probably Rodgers that makes them good. But you've got MVS, you've got Lazard, and now you've got a guy like Amari Rodgers. So I think he'll have a chance to really come in and earn his share of the snaps. I think with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I think it's important for Amari to come out and just kind of show that he can catch the ball and really just earn that trust. I mean, you've seen guys like MVS have just so many bad drops, and then he comes up with these crazy bombs that I think bring him back. But I think Rodgers will have a decent chance at earning some playing time there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think he does have an opportunity. He kind of reminds me almost maybe not as shifty, but almost like a Randall Cobb back in the day. He's smaller in stature, kind of thick, can work in the slot. I think that's an interesting little comparison there for him.
Yeah.
any of these quarterbacks do anything for you in redraft? I mean, obviously dynasty. I think all of them are in pretty interesting situations where they could have value down the road. But in redraft, are you liking any of these guys? In Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, any of these guys?
The only one that I'd probably consider first year would be Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Trey Lance and if he's the starter. Do you think he's a starter week one? I
No,
don't think so.
Shannon already came out and said Garoppolo starting, which who knows what that means, but at this point, but I
I
don't think
think
he is.
I think Fields will end up being the starter. So
Yeah.
he's a guy that, maybe a backup late round and redraft, or a guy you pick up on the waivers, stream him later on down the road. But yeah, nobody really excites me in kind of a redraft. Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones isn't going to be the starter, do you think?
I could see him if it depends on Cam Newton's health. I'll say that. Like if Cam Newton comes out and he's throwing the ball like he did last year, where like he just looks like it hurt to throw the ball past 10 yards, like then maybe not. Maybe Jones is the guy, but I think Jones would have to come out and play pretty substantially better because I just don't
Yeah.
know if Belichick would want to rely on a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. And I won't be touching Zach Wilson.
No, want no piece of him with that Jets offense.
Uh, I think their offense could be sneaky good. They've got some good receivers. I won't draft him. He's a guy that I'm gonna just kind of let sit there, and
Yeah,
again, maybe you pick him up and stream him later and redraft. But
yeah. I think in redraft it's tough for any of these guys because you think about redraft. If you're a 12-man league, you're only going to have should only have 24 guys rostered, if that. That's that you're not just going to stream a backup when you have to get to it. So I don't know if any of those guys would have value in that type of situation.
yeah,
Um, Let me ask you about Aaron Rodgers now. This is kind of like the big question mark. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers is back with Green Bay? Does he get traded? Does he retire? What do you think happens in this situation? Because this fantasy wise and football wise, I mean, they're both could just have massive implications.
what do you think that I think?
Nothing's gonna happen. It's
Yeah,
just
I
gonna.
don't think it. Yeah, this is generally my stance with these quarterbacks of this stature. Nothing happens. Nothing happened with Russell Wilson.
Yep.
I guess I'm technically wrong on Deshaun Watson because a lot's happening with him.
Yeah.
I I didn't think he was. I mean, he hasn't been traded yet, but he may not play this season. But yeah, quarterbacks of the stature, there's just too much that goes into trading a player like that. Uh, Picture being the GM that trades away Aaron Rodgers. Like,
Is that
can
what you want to
you?
be associated with and known for?
Yeah, I mean, Wayne Gretzky got traded a couple times, but I just quarterbacks are different. I don't see it happening. I
Like to me, I see Rodgers retiring before he gets traded.
They'll be make up and hug and kiss and high fives, and him and Devontae Adams will be connecting for 2-yard touchdown passes all season long.
I hope so because I have Devontae on my dynasty team.
That's
That's what I'm
that's my
scared
prediction.
about. Dude, I'm scared that he's gone. Devontae, I'm gonna have James Robinson's value who just shot through the floor. I'm gonna have Devontae Adams once Rodgers is gone, shoot through the floor. I'm gonna have nobody left for a freaking dynasty league.
I'm coming for you.
I know. I know. I need to. It's almost time for me to blow up my team and try to start young again because my guys are
Yeah.
getting old. I got Patrick Mahomes, and that's about where it is right now. Um,
So what do you think happens with him?
I
You
the thing
lean
with Rodgers
retirement?
is he's such a Rogers is such a different like guy. Like if you listen to him ever on the Pat McAfee and show and stuff, like he seems like a guy that could walk away from the game and like have something else in his life and be like happy and okay with it. Like he could go be the host of Jeopardy and just be fine, like and walk away. Like not saying that he doesn't love football or love competing and stuff, but like he's got enough going on in his life and stuff that I think he could do that. And like he obviously, you know, I think if he gets pissed off enough, like he would just say like, "Listen, I told you I'm done. Either trade me or I'm done," and he would do it. So I don't know.
I think I can see I can see that side of him, those points that you made, and just how he could just walk away. But I just think he's too competitive. I think
Yeah.
he wants to make another run at the Super Bowl. They've fallen short in the NFC Championship game each of the last 2 years, and I don't know. As somebody that's been in the league for what 16 years now, like
Yeah.
to only have one Super Bowl, I just think he's too competitive. I was actually listening because I didn't fact check this, but just reminded me the 16-year thing. I think it was forget who was another longtime Packers quarterback that was
Favre.
no before that. So
Favre.
Favre played for 16 years. Bart Starr was it?
Favre. Yeah.
16 year,
Yeah.
16 years, and then he left.
Yeah.
Favre 16 years, and then he left. Aaron Rodgers 16 years. So I thought that was kind of cryptic and interesting. But end of the day, I
It
think
would be something.
he's starting for the Packers week 1 this season.
I think that's a safe bet. I think that's a safe bet. Do you see how all the lines are changing though because of the chance that he does get traded to Denver? Denver's line for the Super Bowl and for division winners and all that stuff it has moved to kind of safeguard them against that potentially happening. Because I went and looked just in case, if Denver obviously without him has probably had some juicy numbers, and then it was already like 5-1 or something like that for them to
Yeah,
win the division.
I'd prefer he stay in the NFC, and I'm sure you would as well.
Oh yeah, the Broncos had their Hall of Fame Super Bowl quarterback with Manning. Like they got lucky enough to get him. Like they don't deserve to get Rodgers traded to him too. Like screw that. Hell no. They already had their shot. And we're done. Kansas City's time. I'm done with that. Um, any other final thoughts on the draft?
It was a very weak tight end class. I mean, Kyle Pitts
Bad.
went in the top 5, and outside of that, it was just like nothing.
Yeah, like Fryermuth, where he went to the Pittsburgh, and then like after that, I don't even know. Like it was, I know Kansas City drafted Noah Gray in like the 5th round, but he's not going to have any value, like
No.
fantasy wise. Like not a great tight end draft. Tommy Tremble, who is a freaking stud blocker, but that's all he is. He's a blocking tight end. Like he's not somebody that you're gonna like is going to be a threat to catch the football or whatever. And like we said before, you mentioned tight end struggle in the first year. So yeah, very very weak tight end.
Yeah. Who's the 1-1 in the NFL draft right now for next season?
Well, there's a edge rusher out of Oregon. I can't say his name. It's just I can't say it. And then it depends on kind of which quarterback kind of shoots forward. There's Sam Howell out of North Carolina, Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma. There's this kid out of Liberty, actually, Malik Willis. That dude has one of the most live arms I've ever watched in college
Yep.
football. He can freaking throw the football. He's got stuff to clean up now, but like he could. And then USC's got a quarterback, Kadon Salvis, I think is how you say his last name. So there'll be some quarterbacks. Alabama's got another receiver, of course.
Justin's way too early mock draft.
Yeah, dude, I've already been looking at it.
Yeah.
I was watching Malik Willis a little bit today because like that dude, he can freaking sling it, man. It is impressive
Yep.
to see. But yeah, John Mechie from Alabama. Alabama just churning out receivers and skill guys now, like it's crazy. But no, it'll be fun. I'm ready. The draft always gets you fired up for the season.
Yeah, and as a reminder to everyone, we've got an extra game this season, so it'll
Yep.
be weird to, I guess, figure out how the fantasy season plays out in regards to that and what a lot of people do with their leagues.
Did they come out and say if there was two buys, or is there still just
I think
one?
just one by.
Wow, that is surprising. And now you see all that stuff going on with the Denver linemen, like getting hurt in off-season workouts, and like players kind of coming out. And I can't imagine that the Players Association right now is very fond of only having one buy in an extra game.
Yeah, I think they'll push to change. I don't know how locked in they are to that at this
Yeah.
point, but um, it'll be interesting to see if they push for that extra bye week.
I would think that would be the wise thing to do. I think, and I would think that they would stay with the extra roster additions that they made with the pandemic stuff too, since there's an extra game and all this the craziness that's been going on.
Yeah.
But any other closing thoughts before we get out of here?
No, ready, like we said, for the schedule release, and then I feel like it gets kind of quiet for from a fantasy perspective. It gets a little quiet. I know there's kind of the off season workouts and mini camps and stuff like that, but
Yeah, there's always a little lull right now. It seems like some veterans will start getting signed. Like I saw Eric Fisher was visiting the Colts. Alejandro Villanueva, he signed with the Ravens, and then it said Casey Hayward to the Raiders and stuff. So you'll start seeing these guys getting signed, the ones that you thought would basically after the draft. But other
yeah,
than that, it's pretty quiet.
yeah.
All right, dude, let's get out of here. JDiz1617 on Twitter. He's Fitchy24. You can find us at Ballin Over. Go over to Borderfield Sports. Check out all the stuff we got going over there, podcasts, articles, everything that you can imagine. Again, smash the like button on the way out, wherever you're listening to this. 5-star reviews on the audio, subscribing to both stuff. But we appreciate everybody being here. NFL's right around the corner. Draft always gets me fired up, man. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going 17-0, so it's going to be a good year. Take it
So
easy.
ridiculous.
We out.